Hi everyone, my name is Smitty and this is my book channel, Booksmitten. If you're new or returning, welcome. Now, this monthly wrap-up is a bit later than I would have liked, and that's mainly due to the fact that in November, I was just battling this cold of sorts and my throat was just not camera ready. So I have some tea in hand and I'm really excited to share the 6 books that I read in October with you. So let's get into it. First up is The Missing God's Lawyer by Mia Monique. This book is part 2 and the final book in the Grim Reaper Lawyers series. Now, I don't want to give too much away about the plot, but this book starts right off where the first book left off. Personally, this book was a lot of fun to read. I was going through a depressive spell and I really turn to romance sometimes when I'm going through those depressive episodes. And I really appreciated the main female protagonist, Joyce. Now, I don't think there were any big twists or turns, but I was invested into seeing how everything played out. In comparison to the first book, this one is far more chaotic, but it didn't bother me at all. There is spice, not as much as the first book, and the ending was so satisfying. Overall, this was a 4.25-star read for me. Next up is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is a romantasy that follows Misery, who is a vampire that enters into an arranged marriage with a werewolf alpha named Lo. She does this in order to keep peace between their species, but to also investigate her best friend's disappearance, in which she suspects Lo had something to do with. This is my first Ali Hazelwood book, and I really enjoyed this one. I've honestly shied away from her STEM romances just because of the power dynamics that come into play with some of the characters. When it comes to this book, I really like how the characters were written. The author draws on a lot of popular vampire and werewolf lore, as well as common tropes that we see in romance books. There was also spice in this book. For me, it was a fun romantasy and a 4.25-star read for me. Next up is Strong Female Character by Fern Brady. This is a memoir by Scottish comedian Fern Brady. The focus of this book is her reflecting and detailing her journey navigating school, relationships, love, and work with undiagnosed autism. She eventually gets diagnosed with autism as an adult, and part of the narrative of this book is her kind of looking back and reflecting on some of her actions and thoughts and behaviors. I listened to this as an audiobook, and I highly recommend consuming it that way. It was very powerful to hear her narrate her own words. There were times where this book got a bit heavy, but I also appreciated how she used humor throughout the book. Now, I don't necessarily agree with some of her worldviews. For example, I saw a lot of comments and reviews online that discuss the internalized fat phobia in this book, and I think that's a topic that could have used some more reflection from Brady herself. Now, Brady came across as a strong, complex, and messy character, and I really appreciated her candor, vulnerability, and honesty throughout this book. I really appreciate that this book exists and that we got a glimpse inside Fern Brady's head and how she was processing things, at least at the time of publication. Personally, I learned a lot about autism from this book. I think she does a good job of situating her own behaviors and actions and how she relates them to her autism diagnosis. Overall, I really enjoyed this memoir, and it was a 4.75-star read for me. Next up is Ghostwall by Sarah Moss. This is a short work of fiction. It follows a teenage girl, her family, and archaeologists as they participate in an experimental archaeology reenactment in which they try to reenact life in Iron Age Great Britain. The group dynamics become increasingly oppressive and highly questionable. And honestly, that hints at a major theme in this book, which is the role of questioning things in certain moments and why we don't question things in certain moments. To me, this was a truly eerie and haunting book. It honestly packed a lot for a short book. Now, as an archaeologist, there were some things that I think were just depicted really well. For example, many of the actions, behaviors, and frustrations of the graduate students felt absolutely real. The attitude and complicit behavior of the head archaeologist in charge unfortunately reminded me of some people I've interacted with. Now, the father of the teenage daughter in the story, spoiler alert, is not a good human, but he did remind me of people I would often encounter, not in terms of their character, but in terms of their interest in the archaeology of their local area, as well as their frustration of not being taken seriously by scholars. Now, before you read this book, I would definitely read the trigger warnings. Overall, I enjoyed it, and it was a 4.5-star read for me. Next up is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This story follows Daphne, whose fiancé dumped her for his childhood best friend. Daphne then moves in with Miles, who's the dumped boyfriend of said best friend, and we follow their relationship blossom. This was my first Emily Henry book, and it was a lot of fun, and I totally get why she's so popular. She's able to write typical romance tropes and plot devices like fake dating and do them in a believable way. Her characters feel unique enough to be real and relatable without coming across as caricatures. Honestly, I ate this one up pretty quickly, and it was a 4.5-star read for me. Next up is A Renaissance of Our Own, a memoir and manifesto of reimagining by Rachel Cargle. Honestly, this title sums up the book beautifully. It's part memoir, in which you get to learn a bit about Rachel Cargle's life, and it's also part manifesto, in which she publicly declares how she's reflecting and reimagining her life from this moment and moving forward. Personally, I thought the book beautifully balanced both memoir and manifesto. Cargle is a reflective and wonderful writer. It was especially powerful to hear her narrate her words as I listened to this as an audiobook. This book is also very well structured. Each chapter focuses on a specific reimagining, like reimagining relationships, reimagining education. The chapter on reimagining work deeply resonated with me. On BookTube, we often mention that certain books just find you at the right time, and I really believe that about this book for me personally. Honestly, this is one of those books that I find to be quite life-changing because it really made me not only think, but rethink and reimagine how I want to think about and approach things moving forward. Now, while I listen to this as an audiobook, I do have a physical book on the way because I want to refer to it and try out some of the exercises in the future. Now, it's probably not a surprise, but this was a 5-star read for me. So those were the books that I read in October. Overall, it was a great reading month, and I really enjoyed the diversity of books that I got to read. And just thank you for your patience. I know my upload schedule has been a bit stunted, and I just hope to upload when I can. Now, if you're interested in seeing what I read last month, check out this video here. That's all for this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.